Jemima, say boo to Audrey. She'll really like it.
Ready when you are, Maria.
Hello, I'm Maria. Welcome to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. We always appreciate your emails and messages and comments. Thank you so much to Madeleine today. She is mummy of 6 and married to Conor. And your children are between, well, pretty similar ages to ours.
Yes.
You have...
So, Felicity's nearly 10, the end of the month. And Joachim's 8, so similar to Rupert. And then Beth is 6. Benjamin's just 5.
That's a close one.
Yeah, it's just gone 5. And then Edith is nearly 3 in May, and Micah is 10 months. So there we go. So
and what happens when, as soon as we press record, is that this is what happens, Madeleine. The baby's stuck.
Yeah. So it's just Murphy's Law.
Jittery.
My mum calls it. Listen, I have a 9-year-old going on 20-year-old as my eldest child. No, not at all. I haven't been cool for years. Connor's very cool though. So that's our saving grace. Connor's a really cool dad.
Why is he cool? What's cool
because
about him?
he's so fun and he's and he is really tactile with them actually, tickling them and picking them up and throwing them over his shoulder. But I'm always breastfeeding a baby, so I can't be cool like that. And I'm always putting down rules, you see, and he's just a cool guy.
I think my mum was like much, but then there might be a common thing with lots of mums. That we're like the ones that are then bringing it back together. I've heard this. No, that's true. That is true, but you're still more fun. So I'm sorry, I'm just rubbish.
Yeah,
I
the
only
thing
lay
is,
the law
Conor
down.
also lays the law down, right? So they respect the laying the law down, and they have the fun. And then
This is actually true.
And then there's just the mummy that flaps.
So Connor's the fun one.
Yeah. Very sporty, does all the crazy football games. We push back the table and does football and volleyball, bullying volleyball in here. Really fun. And gets all really like riled up into sport mode. But then he is really good at being disciplinarian too. So he's a really good dad. Yeah, they do.
And they respect you?
I think they come for cuddles to me, but I'm not the greatest authoritarian figure. Need to work on that a bit more.
But it is tricky as well, because we're the heart, and so it's like...
Someone's on the football table.
So sometimes me and Peter will disagree on discipline, and I'll go to him and sort of plead with him and say, oh no, not for that one.
Yes.
Not this time.
Yeah.
But then sometimes he'll come to me and be, he'll say his piece. Yeah, so I might ask him to either vamp it up. Come on, Peter.
Yeah. At bedtime.
That is bedtime.
Bedtimes. You've got to go up there and tell them to be quiet. You've got to wake up Micah.
Stop giving them treats at bedtime.
But we're getting the balance right, They have lots of fun with Daddy. He works all day. He comes in and plays with them in the evening, and I'm trying to learn to accept that they're a little bit more excitable just before bed, but it's worth it because they've had fun times with Daddy. This is what I'm trying to kind of let go of.
What time does he come in from work?
So we're very lucky because he works from home a lot of the time. He's in an office next door, so I'm very blessed in that, like super blessed. If he's very busy, he'll come in around 6 and then he'll be there. But I mean, if I need him or if there's like doctor's appointments, he can sometimes work his schedule out to help me out, which is just such a blessing for me. So.
And when did you and Conor meet?
Went to a 2000 prayer meeting. I'm just trying to remember. In Maiden Lane, near Covent Garden, in that lovely Corpus Christi church.
So were you living in London? He was living in London?
I was living in Surrey, working as a nanny. So he was in Buckinghamshire. I grew up in Bedfordshire, but was working in Surrey. And I went to this lovely prayer meeting, adoration and stuff, and he was working at that point for a pro-life charity. He was advertising a Christmas carol, singing in the London tubes to raise money for pro-life charity. And I love singing, especially Christmas carols. So I signed up, and that's how we kind of met. And
so did you meet in the organisation of it? Or did you meet when you got there?
Yeah, so we met at the prayer meeting, and Conor gave a little talk at the end of the prayer meeting, I think, saying, can anyone who wants to sing, we're doing it for this pro-life charity, come and sign up. So at the end of the prayer meeting, I just signed up, gave my details or whatever, and said I'll come to like maybe 2 of them in London in the tube stations. There, and then we met for singing. And then we realised that we lived quite close to each other when I used to go home at the weekends to Bedfordshire, so we'd meet up. He got really good friends with my younger brothers because they all love football, so we'd meet up as just friends basically at the weekends. And that's it.
So back to those pro-life carol singing. When I went to one, there were people coming over to us like, can you stop singing?
Yes. It was a great thing in humility. So Conor doesn't, he was running the event and he was running it, so he wasn't really singing. But at one point I was there and there weren't many other people there and I wasn't very confident singing very loud. And some of the other people, none of us were very confident, so it got quite embarrassing, but really good, like, for my humility. Other times it was great. There were loads of people there and we sang our hearts out, and I found generally actually the crowds, the rush hour crowds, they thought it was just nice to have a bit of nostalgia, people singing some Christmas carols, so they were quite generous.
That is true, but I just do remember a few people coming over and asking us to stop singing.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, do you think you were a leader, a natural leader? Or were you one to join the team?
I liked, teamwork, so maybe, because I did Duke of Edinburgh, and that helped me learn to be like a team player. That was really fun, and I liked that. Saw some beautiful places in England because of that. And then I would do the Chartres pilgrimage every year from my favourite thing ever. From when I was 7 to when I got married, so for I don't know how many years. You'd walk from Notre Dame in Paris to Notre Dame in Chartres over the 3 days, and I loved that.
In France, yeah.
In France. And after a while, I led the British youth chapter for that, and so that was a big part of growing my faith, helping me keep my faith in the teenage years. I would thoroughly recommend that pilgrimage.
How many people go on a pilgrimage?
When I first went, it was a lot. It was like 20,000 one year. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, it's so beautiful. It feels quite like you're in heaven, like going to that liturgy and having mass in the woods and in the fields. And when the wind blows, like at consecration, I always feel like it feels a bit like the Holy Ghost is sort of whipping through. So yeah, I really like that.
How long is the pilgrimage?
I might be wrong, okay? So don't quote me, but I had a feeling it was like 72 miles maybe over like 2.5 days or something like that, 3 days.
Oh, so it's quite short.
Yeah, it's not that long really, which is quite a fast pace. So it's a scout movement in France. So they're very kind of, they walk quick, which is good. I mean, it's beautiful. And yeah, lots of flags for the distance. You can just see for miles and miles, like just banners and flags going. It feels a bit medieval. All these different flags from different countries and different banners to different saints. So our British Youth Chapter was dedicated to St. Alban. So I was homeschooled basically all my life, and it was brilliant. Sometimes it can be isolating. Just at that time, there weren't as many homeschoolers as there are now. But knowing that Pentecost every year, even just kind of travelling to France, going on the ferry, it was an amazing experience, meet lots of young people. So yeah, it would set me off for coping with another year and
charge your batteries.
Completely. And I love walking anyway. Hiking is like my big thing. I love it. So walking out in nature, being with young people, praying in such a beautiful way is a really big deal for me and really important.
So there's a lot of people that go from England.
I think the chapter is Our Lady of Walsingham. For the adult chapter, it's dedicated to Our Lady of Walsingham, banner to the 5 Wounds of Christ. But Our Lady of Walsingham is the main one. And then there's a big youth chapter now.
Now they've got a family chapter.
Yeah.
Because
we want to do the family chapter, actually. I really want to get the culture of that into my children. I mean, Felicity's much older than I was now when I first went, so I would love to take them. It's tricky, though, with young families, and you have to just do what you can and not expect too much. But at some point, I definitely want to take my children just to experience that. They don't need to do the whole thing. They can just see parts of it. The Mass at the cathedral at the end is so stunning. Things like that. It's just I really want it to be part of our family culture.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that lots of our families try and build into our family life, pilgrimage.
Yeah.
And is there anywhere else you are able to go on pilgrimage? You've taken the children?
For my birthday last year, Conor took me away just for a night, just me and Micah, and we went to Norfolk, and it was partly for his work, but we also went to Walsingham the next day, and we just went to the Slip Chapel and we walked the Holy Mile, which I haven't done in so long, since I was like a child, or maybe since I was going out with Conor. We did the Holy Mile a couple of times, and I thought, gosh, I really want to get my children into this. So yes, I want to get them into Walsingham things more as they grow up. Maybe we'll start really simple. We'll go as a family. We'll try and stay somewhere, and we'll just do a few of the mile walk from the Slipper Chapel to Walsingham. We'll go to the beach. Keep it fun. Keep it simple. But that is an aim of mine.
To go on a pilgrimage, there are some features.
Yeah.
There's something special about the journey, something special about being there. And one of the things that I picked up from Piero Finaldi, he did a talk about growing your family in the faith. And he was talking about you go one way and you travel home in a different route.
Really?
And it's about being changed, and all of these things and all of these symbols and traditions are
such a nice
there to teach
idea.
us and to sort of, I suppose, like solidify something that's going on internally, an outward sign of something
It's
that's going
almost
on.
like an external thing. Church is so good at having all those external, like in the mass you've got you've got incense, and because you can smell, use your senses, don't you?
To lift you up to God.
Yeah. And another thing I want to do with Walsingham is actually go to the Anglican. Well, is it owned by the Anglicans? Where the House of Nazareth actually stands. I'd love, because I went there.
The replica. Yeah, their little replica.
In the grounds, the Abbey grounds. That we go there and we say this is where the house was, and the House of Nazareth. So I think that would be nice.
I see what you mean.
In the
Abbey grounds.
Yeah.
That's privately owned.
Yes, you can sort of pay to go in.
You can, can't
you? That
you?
would be a nice thing to do,
Yes.
I think. Because I like to give the children the actual places. So you said this is where Mary appeared, and this is where Rocheldes lived, or whatever, and it kind of makes it even more real for them. So I'd like to do that.
I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Walsingham as a parent at a National Association for Catholic Families retreat, and one of the families who wasn't there, they were having a baby. And there was all this excitement. The baby's been born, and the baby's been called Rocheldes. And there was all this excitement. And I said, Rocheldes, what an interesting name. Like, where did that come from? To my shame. Then, as an adult in Walsingham, having brought my children there, I learned that Rocheldes was the visionary of Walsingham.
I think it's probably the same family. When I heard it, I was like, wow, that's an amazing name. I didn't know either. I knew the basic story. I didn't know her name, though, of the visionary.
So she was like a lady of the manor.
Yes.
And Our Lady appeared to her and asked for a replica of the little House of Nazareth to be built there. And the House of Nazareth was where the Annunciation happened.
Yes.
And so it was the house that Our Lady grew up in. And then an unusual circumstance came about in that that's where then the Holy Family lived. And Our Lady wanted us to have a home in England where we could go to and be comforted.
It'd be so nice if we knew how it actually looked, that little...
In the Anglican shrine, inside the church, they've built another replica.
Really?
Because since the Reformation, the replica was destroyed.
Yeah.
I like having a visual, it helps me.
Yeah, really important.
Yeah.
And I had books when I was growing up, I think, of the different mysteries of the Rosary, and such beautiful pictures from just classical art for all the Annunciation or the Visitation. I think it really helps to have those. A whole book for like the joyful, sorrowful, and the glorious. And Mum's got them at home. I'd love to see if I can find them again, because they really did affect me really positively when I would, and help me just concentrate on praying.
Do you have any other tips of how you keep your children lovely and holy in prayer time?
Well, don't expect, like, I try to keep expectations really, like, low, but one amazing thing, actually, that the children all respond to at Rosary time is if we light the candle.
And it's funny the things I notice as well, because I noticed now at the end of the Rosary, we never as children sang the Salve Regina, but I've tried to do that with our children.
Yes.
It's just, again, it's just something, it sort of heightens a sense or something.
Yes.
So we sing Salve Regina, and that's when Jemima comes back into the room.
Singing.
Because she knows, no, she's going to blow the candle out soon.
Yes, it's brilliant. Or do you know another thing is snuffers? It's getting a snuffer for the children is like a really exciting thing.
I've been close up to a dove, and their tails are like a fan.
What dove?
Oh, the game isn't finished, so I have to go.
When you got married and started having children, starting being the leader for leading your family into a prayer life, how did you start to navigate around that?
So, when we first married, Conor worked away from, like, he was in an office for very many hours, so I was at home a lot alone with the children until kind of late in the evening. I'm really blessed now that has changed a bit. So when I was just at home with Felicity a lot, we did grace always, for and after meals, whatever. Really simple things, just night prayers with her. I didn't manage the rosary for quite a few years, though, but then Conor really was great. He took the lead and said, like, we're going to start with, a decade, we'll start with a decade, and then we'll work into doing a whole rosary. He always did night prayers with them. We did night prayers with them. But then we were like, actually, we somehow need to get the culture of the rosary in. And when we only did 1 decade, we never finished. Like, they never knew the Hail Holy Queen or anything. So then Conor has been brilliant. We've got this prayer table now in our snug. We've gone from it being sort of upstairs in bedroom before bed to now actually being downstairs. And we say a rosary in front of the prayer table.
We've made this movement as well. It used to always be upstairs in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'm liking also this
It's a different
season, but then I'm hoping this will be it now.
I
think with more children though, it sort of works out a bit better just to, I don't know, be downstairs together and it be more of a...
Yes, because it's not a bedtime thing then as such, because Felicity will stay up after our rosary, the others will go to bed, sort of thing. Felicity and Joachim will stay up, the others will go to bed. So it's not just, bedtime, straight to bed after the rosary. It's just like, no, it's a family getting together time.
Do you value the children learning the set prayers?
Yes, so I do, but I also want to learn myself more, actually, to be able to teach them to have more conversations with Jesus in relationship. And here's a book I'd love to plug by a friend of mine called the Be Yourself Journals. In fact, I think Catholic mothers stock them. I bought it for my eldest daughter and my eldest son. They might be slightly young for it at the moment, but they're brilliant journals, and it teaches you to have a relationship with Jesus more. I want to teach them that more, just to talk to him. So I'm trying to get them into night prayers. Sometimes in night prayers at the end I'll say, so what do we want to thank God for today? And what do we want to ask for particularly for prayers for today? So we've got the set prayers, which I think are a really good fallback when you're a teenager and you're just going to do your set prayers, that's fine. But then also if you want to be a bit spontaneous and talk to God, then learn what you can say in adoration to him. And so I'm trying to educate them in that too. And I'm learning myself along the way. And the Be Yourself journals have been a real help.
Well, that's good to hear, because I've started thinking about, we've got well established in the set prayers.
Yeah.
And again, like you, I think, and Therese was saying on a different one of the videos, if you haven't seen it, and she was saying about, at times when you don't necessarily feel like praying.
Yes, they're brilliant.
It's a really great tool to have taught your children these prayers, and you can just fall back on it. You can almost just go through it. But they do. These things are all there because they do things for us, and they keep us with Our Lady. And even if we don't feel it, we're kept close to her. And then, I'm starting to try and get them just to be more conversational.
That's it, conversational with Jesus. If they don't have a prayer book with them, I want them to be able to talk to him as a friend. Even if they don't have a prayer book or they're not going to say set prayers, they can just talk to him.
Throughout the day, I just feel like I'm at the sink and I'm just, asking the saints to help me, or asking Our Lady to help me to be a bit more graceful and joyful about whatever is going on. Yeah, having that flow of prayer all throughout the day.
Like our best friend. We can just literally call him our best. I suppose I want, especially for Felicity, she's getting older, to think of him as her best friend that she would just talk to.
The story of St. Therese is lovely, because St. Therese had a real sort of communication with God, and when her mum died and she went to Our Lady, and I've heard a few saints say this, Saint Pope John Paul II as well, he was another one whose mum died early, and then they go to Our Lady then quite naturally and go to her and ask her for, to be their mother. I'm a mum for the first time. We're all a mum for the first time in this family.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be experts to start with, but we all have Our Lady as a mother. And somebody said that to me when I was struggling with trying to mother my sweet, lovely Lani, and they said, send her up to our, direct her to Our Lady, because she is the perfect mother for all of us, and when we feel like we fail. And so I say that to the children, I don't always get it right.
Yeah.
To Our Lady, she is your mother, and go to Jesus, he's your brother, and God, our Father.
Yes.
There was a homily recently, and he spoke about the Our Father, and that Saint Francis of Assisi was just so overwhelmed that we're not the servant, we're not the slave, we are the child of God. And that's really incredible. Like, what an honour.
Because we can all have a tendency to rush the rosary or whatever, but actually sometimes you can slow down and space out the words, and they're pretty amazing. Yeah. Another one for Our Lady that I really like is the Memorare. It's one in real times of trouble, and just quickly say that prayer, or, worry or whatever. And that's just a nice prayer that you can say.
I certainly find that I'm not always good at thinking of what to say off the top of my head anyway. Yeah. But having something like this, I can just say it. Yeah. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known. And I'm reassuring myself, and I'm comforted, and I'm also seeking her help. And, in the right, it gives me the words to say.
Yes. I was talking to a priest the other day, and I was saying, I'm so tired. When I go to somewhere like adoration, I don't know what to say. And he's like, just go there and say, look, I'm here. You're just going to sit here. This is the words of this great priest. And I'm going to sit here, be with you, Jesus. And he said, even if in your mind you're doing the shopping list, at least you're with Jesus. So that's what I'm also trying to have mercy on myself. You can just be with Jesus and not know always what to say. Just say, look, I'm here. I don't really know what to say. Can you just deal with all the stuff?
You're homeschooling all of your children. Have you done that from the beginning?
Yes, from the beginning. I was homeschooled myself as well, so...
But some of your siblings went to school.
Yes, so yes, there's been a whole... I'm one of 6 children. There's been a whole mixture of different... I was homeschooled my whole life nearly, so I kind of know... That's the only thing I know. But I also know how hard it is, okay? I know how hard it is. There's no rose-tinted glasses about homeschooling. But... one thing, I live in this lovely community where lots of families are homeschooling, so I knew I had support in that way, and I'm really blessed in that. And I do like the idea of homeschooling as well. I love the different curriculums that mostly come out of America, actually, some really lovely classical curriculums, and they teach the children such a richness, the education feels very rich, and it felt a little bit safer. Just knowing what you're teaching them, having a bit more control over what you're teaching them. But at the same time, I want to make sure that they are socialised. It's really important that they are sociable and they're not kept in a bubble, and trying to make sure I don't kind of wrap them up too much in cotton wool, but help them to experience the world, give them the tools to be strong in and have integrity in their convictions and beliefs, and still be able to go out there and deal with life in a really balanced, healthy way. That's what I'm hoping. And we're lucky, as I said, where we are, because they have quite a few friends around that also homeschool, and that helps rub off any edges and things.
How many children have you got that are home educating at the moment? 4?
Yeah, 4.
Are they all doing different things? Any 2 of them in the same grade, so you've got 4 different curriculums going on?
Yeah, so with Modge it's quite good, and my consultant helps me work out the different curriculums, and we try...
Mother of Divine Grace?
Mother of Divine Grace, yeah, sorry,
and you
call
have
it
a
Modge.
consultant that you can talk to?
She helps guide me with the curriculums, and I don't use all of Mother of Divine Grace. I sort of choose some English curriculums that can fit in, slot in. She helps me. I say, look, is that a good handwriting book can I get? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. Joachim and Beth, they share religion with the Baltimore Catechism. They share that, and they share their history. So that's a really good thing. So we often do history just at the lunch table. We'll read this lovely history books that we've got. My niece, who helps me homeschool, she'll take them out to the trampoline so they can bounce and get off their energy, especially my son, who's always moving. But also answer the catechism questions, so that's a really nice thing. And they do it together, so that helps. Mostly they're all in different grades, but with religion and history, for the 2 middle children of the 4 that are homeschooling, they can do those subjects together.
And what about the little ones? Because for some people watching this, that might just sound like a lot. You've got 4 children that are doing different things, and then you've got a toddler and a baby.
Insanity.
But this is working.
Well,
what's your kind of routine like in the morning?
We definitely want to be trying to be working by 9:30, 10. I have at the moment my help of my niece. We try and start schoolwork by 10, and we work at the table. The toddler, she does need a lot of attention, a lot of keeping herself busy. We need to keep her busy. So that is tricky. It's tricky, but we've worked out a few kind of tools. What I sometimes do is when the baby's ready to sleep, I put him in the back of the buggy and I put her in the front of the buggy with a bottle of milk or something. And while my niece is teaching the older ones, I just walk around the block quickly, and it just gets her out. It gets her one-on-one time with mummy, which seems to really calm her down and good for her character, just knowing she's getting some attention just with mummy. And the baby goes to sleep in the back of the buggy. Then I bring them in. Sometimes I strap her in her high chair, like a funny little seat thing, to the table, like to the chair at the table, and she does puzzles and things.
And you've set up your home that you've thought about it, and you've thought about which things can be out, and I think you've done a lovely job of it. And I see Edie going and like choosing some things. And
I trained as a Montessori teacher, And then I trained also as a catechist with Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, which is a Montessori-based catechesis program, which I really recommend.
Beautiful.
So
the
beautiful.
little bits I've heard of. I would really like to do more of it, but yeah.
Yeah, it really is stunning. And so I'm really lucky in that I also have a friend who is catechist as well, and she comes on a Thursday and helps me and works with Edith, does a little atrium just for Edith. Edith's a bit young for the conventional atrium, so she does this lovely little atrium with her. But she's also helped me set up some shelving. I'd forgotten, trained at Montessori years ago, and I'd forgotten all the practical life work you can get out for children of that age, and I'd just completely forgotten it. So my friend has been helping me remember what I can get out, like pouring exercises and spooning and puzzles and matching. And between us, we've been sort of supplying Edith with some shelves of these materials for her to choose herself. And that's really helped us. And actually, there is a book which I really recommend. It's such an easy book. It's Elizabeth Hainstock's The Montessori Years, the Preschool Years or something. And I bought that book, and that just gives you really simple exercises. It tells you the right age group, like 2 to 5 year olds, learning to wipe a table with a cloth or something, or sweeping the floor. It's really good, really cheap book you find on eBay or Amazon.
You've got quite a full day. You're on demand.
Yes.
Throughout the night and in the day. And maybe you don't always step back to look at what you're doing, because I come in and think, wow, look at all these children, they're happy, and they come and sit at the table, they file on, they're getting on with it, and you're sort of buzzing around. Is there anything in your day that you find helps you just to sort of relax or brings you calm in your day? Or
I try and carve out a walk every day just for me, and I walk really quickly. And sometimes I say my rosary, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just look at nature. We have a beautiful National Trust common, just up the road. So I try and walk every day. That and hot chocolate.
do all the babies want to come with you, or?
Yeah, it's a strict policy that is Mummy's sanity walk, and they don't come
They know
with
it's called
me.
the sanity walk.
I call it sanity walk. I think they kind of know that. A few people know that, like a few of my neighbours. They're say, hi Madeleine, I'm on my sanity walk. Sometimes 20 minutes to half an hour. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I write material for my new little writing projects.
That's something I want to come on to, about books.
Yeah.
It's good that you have these sanity walks. You could just take a pause and think about, and thank God for all that He's put in your path and all the wonderful things you're doing, all these beautiful children you're raising, and that you're writing these books. They're delightful. We're enjoying them at home. Particularly enjoy Gifts and Rosie Discovers Winter.
When I was homeschooling, my favourite subject maybe was writing essays and compositions. I did Our Lady of Victory School American curriculum, and I remember they would give you 3 lines of an essay, there was a big fire in the theatre, blah, 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 and then you have to kind of take it from there.
So do you think being home educated, it allowed you to have this exploration time?
Maybe,
with going down and
yes.
having that time?
I'm really blessed in that our garden, my mum's real green fingers, and she had such beautiful rockery just outside the back door, so I'd sit and play in the rockery and stuff. Yeah, so, and definitely also I was really lucky that I grew up in a village with beautiful woods nearby, and one of my jobs growing up was I would walk dogs for people as a dog walker. So I was always out in nature, and that really inspired my writing.
One of your earliest stories, can you remember?
Yeah, it was the gnomes of Blueberry Wood. And they had 6 children, actually, these gnomes. A great credit to my dad here, because he would tell me these amazing make-believe stories about Cyril the Squirrel and Freddie the Frog. He'd tell my brothers too. So good. So I took a few of his characters as well and kind of implanted them into this story. And then that grew up with me. The gnome story, I kind of grew up doing that. And I would occasionally type it all out. But then when I was a young adult, maybe 20 or something, just before Easter, maybe the Holy Week or something, I wrote my first sort of story, The Joyful Meeting, which has now been published. And I just wrote it down, it's an A4 piece of paper. And then I left it. And then I got married and had a few children. And then I met a lovely friend who draws beautiful pictures. And I said, do you want to try and put pictures to these words? And then it went from there. And now I've discovered, with the help of Jennifer Fulwiler, who I recommend her books, like Blue Flame and Beautiful Dream, and that you can, as a mum, still have a passion that you love and do something God could maybe give you a gift that you can give to the world, and it makes you feel alive. And that's what writing does for me. It makes me feel really alive and energized.
But also just step back and look at our children.
Yes.
We are not everything of our children. They have got their own little shoots that are growing up in them, and they've got their own things that they do, and it's not all on us. We are one part of that, and a big part, but we are not everything. And I think stepping back and seeing and just giving glory to God in just looking at our children and what they're doing, and My mother-in-law said it to me at our wedding. If I've got one piece of advice, she said, just take a pause when you're at the top of the aisle and just because otherwise life can whiz past, can't it? It can be whiz past and the years whiz past. And the other thing that's come to me with the consecration to St. Joseph and reading the book is not being afraid to rest. And I am frightened of it because I just think if I lie down, I might not ever get up. If I get in the bath, I might not ever get out. So I only take showers. I think sometimes, in my pride, I just think it's all on me.
Yeah. We have to fill up the whole day until bedtime and then do something constructive and then go to bed. It's like, yes, I'm completely the same. And I do struggle to kind of rest. But I always give myself the luxury of hot chocolates. And when I have hot chocolates, I can sit back for a few minutes and watch everyone rest, chocolate, walks, and then your passion. It's really good. It's like a good recipe.
Thank you so much, Madeleine. Your children are an absolute delight. I've definitely paused when we came in and looked at them all just running around and all their characters and their loveliness and seeing you with them and your gentleness and just a lovely delight.
Most impressive. You are unwise to lower your defenses.
Would you share with us one of your stories?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
God bless.
Joyful colours of the year. Glowing sunrise, spring dew, buds opening in clear hues. You've got daffodils and snowdrops there. Silver green on the slim birch tree, bees and butterflies high and free. Golden buttercups bursting forth, lively breezes from the north. You see all their hairs blowing back that way. Fragrant heat, thundery showers, summer glory in rows of flowers. This is we're in the summer now. You see it's a bit different. We've got summer thunderstorms there. Tall lime trees reach the sky, swifts and swallows weave and fly. This is the lime tree that we've got out there by the trampoline. It's the lime tree. Waves breaking over pebble sands, heat hazes lifting over parched lands. Gusts at play on an autumn day, leaves all russet, gold and grey. Mists linger on sills and ledges, blackberries ripen through hawthorn hedges. Majestic oak trees, acorns galore, squirrels scampering on the forest floor. Full moon. Do you want to read it? Full moon.
Moon, silver
Cloud. Crashing.
and sea, blue
Ooh.
and loud.
Very good. Now we're in the winter, proper winter. Slate.
Grey
Grey skies.
on a weather
Winter's
morning as
fallow deer.
Run to
Greet
the
dawn. Yeah.
frost
This is a hard one. Glistening.
on
Every magic key makes that an A sound. Blade. Frozen.
pond in a
Frozen glade. And that's it.